Welcome back to Study Life. In this session, we are going to see how we can quickly revise a chapter. As during exams, what important points need to be focused while revising a chapter, we'll cover all those points in this session. So, the chapter which we are starting now is chapter number 3, Inheritance and Variation. Now, let's begin with the chapter, students. Now, first topic of ours is chromosomes and mechanism of inheritance. So, in this chromosomes and mechanism of inheritance, so what we are going to see over here is that what is important over here. The first and most important definition which we need to study is of the term heredity. This heredity is also called as inheritance. So we have to see what is heredity and what is inheritance. As we all know, it is nothing but the transmission of characters from parents to offsprings, that is from one generation to the next generation. So the term heredity and inheritance need to be paid special attention. Now after that, who is the father of genetics? His name is, the father of genetics is nothing but Gregor Johann Mendel. This name has to be written and this name has to be remembered. If we are asked who has coined the word genetics, it was coined by the person named William Bateson. So William Bateson had coined the word genetics. So this was coined by the scientist called as William Bateson, the word genetics. But who is the father of genetics? It is Gregor Johann Mendel. He is the father of genetics. So that has to be paid attention. Now let's move ahead. In this, this is given the history of Gregor Johann Mendel, like what he has done, where he was born. So we can directly move to the last line, that he has given experiments. He has given the inheritance pattern by using which mechanism? He has used hybridization technique, wherein he had used two different plants and he has made several crosses between them. And the experimental model which he had selected was nothing but our normal garden pea, which is also called as Pisum sativum. So that is what he had selected for his experiments. The reason behind selecting garden pea was because it had 7 traits. These 7 traits mean 7 different characters. So that is why he had selected this garden pea. So what did he do? He had studied individually one character at a time, and then he started using 2 or more combination of characters. So those records of those experiments and all that data, he had processed those data mathematically and statistically. So by that he had kept quite good record of all his experiments. Now this mechanism of heredity, though it was proposed by Gregor Johann Mendel, and he was helped by another scientist who was Correns. It became the fundamental laws of heredity after Correns proposed it. So here we start with the next important term which has to be remembered, which are nothing but the factors. What are factors? Now factors, later they were known to be genes, but before they knew what was gene, they used the term factor. So how can we define factor? We can define factor as it is a substance which is responsible for expression of a particular trait or character. So later we had come to know that this factor was nothing but our genes. So now we know that these factors are genes and they are responsible for expression of a particular trait or character. For example, if a plant is tall or a plant is dwarf, it all depends upon the factors which are nothing but now called as genes. So reasons why Mendel got success. So this can be a 2-mark answer for why Mendel got success. So the reasons are, the first and most important reason which needs to be specified is that he had selected garden pea, which is Pisum sativum, the binomial nomenclature, where Pisum is the genus name and sativum is the species name, and his experiments were carefully planned and it involved large samples, which means he did experimentations in quite good volume. He carefully recorded all his observations for each type of experiments what he got. Suppose when he did cross with one pair of contrasting characters, he recorded even that result. Whatever results went wrong also, he carefully recorded the number of plants of each type and expressed his results as ratios. As we already know, the ratio for monohybrid cross is 3:1, for dihybrid cross is 9:3:3:1. So he kept all proper ratios. So let's move on to these 7 pairs of contrasting characters which we are quite aware. So here the ones over here are dominant and these are recessive. So 7 pairs of contrasting characters. First one is seed shape, second is seed color, third is pod shape, pod color. Then we have flower color, flower location and plant height. This is a question which can be asked for 2 marks about give the contrasting characters of Pisum sativum, which is garden pea. So in that we need to enlist all these characters and we have to write the dominant ones and the recessive ones. You all can put one more thing, that in this chart you can see there is only phenotype which is written, which means phenotype is only given, which is the external appearance of the organism. We can also mention their genotypes. We can also mention the genotypes in this table in our exams. Let us see how we can write the genotypes. So we'll see the phenotypes along with genotypes over here. So here you can see for seed shape we have round, and round genotype will be capital R, because dominant traits the genotype is written as capital. We see the first alphabet which is capital R and then we write it 2 times because alleles are always in pairs. Now for here the one which we have written capital up, we'll write small letter down, so it will be small r. For second seed color, as we can see it is yellow, so yellow के लिए क्या आएगा, it will be capital Y, and over here इधर क्या आएगा, it will be small y. Similarly for pod shape, it will be capital I because it is inflated over here, which is dominant. It will be capital I. Here it will be small I. So in this way, we can write all the phenotypes and genotypes for these 7 pairs of contrasting characters. And the question for this is, give the 7 pairs of contrasting characters in pea plant, which is Pisum sativum. Let's move on to the next topic. Now, in this we can see what has to be studied is that contrasting characters were easily recognizable. We were seeing the reasons behind Mendel's success. The third point over here is the contrasting characters can be easily recognized because we can see there is different in their phenotypes. So those contrasting characters are easily recognizable. So 7 different characters which are present in pea plant, they are controlled by a single factor each, which are located, very important term, they are located on separate chromosomes. So these characters, they are located on separate chromosomes, and then these characters or these genes, which are nothing but factors, are transmitted from one generation to the next generation. So using these concepts, Mendel introduced the concept of dominance and recessiveness. Dominance, which means the character which gets expressed in the first generation, and recessive means the character which is not expressed in the first generation. Let us see ahead the genetic terminologies which need to be studied. When we say character, the character over here is nothing but a specific feature of an organism which we can see visually. The phenotype is also known as character, or it can be also called as trait. It is a specific feature of the organism and the one which is inherited from the parents, and it is a detectable variant, which means what is the difference between character and trait. Character means it will be height, which can be tall or dwarf, but when we say trait is a detectable variant where we can distinguish whether a person is a tall person or a dwarf person, or a tall plant or a dwarf plant. Factors we have already discussed, they are nothing but they are genes. They are unit of heredity. They are responsible for inheritance and expression of the character. So gene, what is the difference when we write gene? So gene is nothing but a segment of DNA, which means it is a strand of DNA which is also responsible for inheritance, which means it comes from parents, two offsprings and expression of a character. Very important definition over here. Alleles or allelomorph. Very important and frequently asked question for board exam. Now they are nothing but, suppose I give you an example, a plant can have character like capital T, it can have capital T small t or small t small t. These are the three different genotypes the plant can have. What differences can you see? They are all related to one character. What is that one character? That one character is nothing but height. But here you can see there are two or more alternative forms of the gene. This is one form, this is the second, and this is the third. So they are two or more alternative forms of a gene which are present at the same loci, which means the same position on the homologous chromosome. Homologous chromosomes, they are morphologically and genetically similar chromosomes and controlling the same character. So in this example you can see which character are they controlling? Yes, they are controlling the character of height. So let's see the definition. So we have two or more alternative forms of a gene which are present on the same loci, which are they are present at identical positions of homologous chromosomes. Homologous chromosomes which are morphologically and genetically similar chromosomes. So those are called alleles or allelomorph. So the actual word is allelomorph, which means alleles are showing different types, but the word which we can use for short form is allele. Allele or allelomorph. Now next topic of ours is, we have to remember, is dominant. Dominant, which means the character which hides another character. So this is the definition, the allele of a pair. See, for example, we have capital T, we have small t. So these are two alleles of a pair. Which will be expressed over here? Your tall character will be expressed. So in this we'll say that this tall is T is dominant and this small t is recessive, which means it is an allele of a pair. Both are pair. The allele of a pair that marks the expression of other allele which is small t is getting hidden. So that is why this character capital T is said to be dominant. So which one will be recessive? The recessive one will be small t. So recessive one, which means it expresses only in the presence of another allele, identical allele, which means small t will get expressed only when there are two small t. When there are two small t, that time only small t will get expressed. So let's see this recessive again. Recessive definition is, it expresses only in the presence of another identical allele, which means when both small t are present, that time only this will be dwarf. It is an allele that does not express in the F1 hybrid. So we can clearly write dominant and recessive difference. The character which gets expressed in the F1 hybrid, which is the first generation, is the dominant character, and the one which is not expressed is called as recessive character. Let's move on to the next terminology, which is phenotype. Now when we say phenotype, it is nothing but the external appearance, what you can see with your eyes. So that is called as phenotype, the external appearance of the individual, whether the plant is tall or the plant is dwarf. So that is phenotype. But when we say genotype, it is the genetic constitution, which means the genetic makeup of an organism with respect to a particular trait, particular character, where when we have height, the genotype is going to be, when we have height, the genotype for tall will be capital T, and for dwarf it will be small t. So this is nothing but genetic constitution or genetic makeup of an organism with respect to particular character. See, genotype can be capital T or capital T small t, and dwarf has got small t. Now, next very important terminology which can also be asked is, what is homozygous and what is heterozygous? The name itself suggests us homo, which means identical alleles. So the word homo, we have to remember this word, which is identical alleles for a particular trait. So this homozygous is also called as pure. And we have two examples when we have capital T and small t. They are homozygous, they are pure because both have got identical alleles. But when we say heterozygous, they are not having similar alleles, they are having different alleles, and that is why they are also called as hybrid. So another name for homozygous is pure and another name for heterozygous is hybrid, because homozygous has all similar alleles, identical alleles, and heterozygous has dissimilar alleles which are not identical. So let's see what is pure line. Pure line also means homozygous, which means, so when we have the word pure line, which means we have already seen right now homozygous, which means pure. So here pure line will mean that it is containing homozygous or true breeding for one or more traits. That is why it is called as pure line, because it is containing both these similar alleles. So that is why it is called pure line. Now when we see crosses, we are going to see if there is a cross between two parents for one pair of contrasting character. So it is a cross between two pure parents when they are differing in one single pair of contrasting character. This has to be emphasized. One single pair of contrasting character. Why one single pair of contrasting character? The name suggests monohybrid. Mono means one. So it is a cross between two pure parents. Those two pure parents, one will be male and another will be female. And when it is a cross between a single pair of contrasting character, it will be called as monohybrid. And when there is a cross between two pure parents for two pairs of contrasting characters, when instead of a single pair of contrasting character, we have two pairs of contrasting characters, it will be called as dihybrid, because here we are taking two pairs of contrasting characters. So the first generation which we are getting will be called as F1 generation. So F1 generation is also referred to as first filial generation. So this first filial generation, it will be obtained by a mating or a cross between pure parents having contrasting characters. When we have pure parents having contrasting characters, so that time what we'll get? We'll have F1 generation, which is the first generation. So F1 generation. Later, the next terminology which we have to see over here is, we will be starting with our Mendel's law of inheritance. So now this Gregor Johann Mendel, when he had performed experiments with garden pea, he postulated three laws. The first law is the law of dominance. The second one over here, which you can see, is law of segregation, which is also called as law of purity of gametes, and the third law is law of independent assortment. So these three laws are very important and need to be carefully studied. Let us see the first law. The first law clearly states, this statement has to be memorized and it is quite simple to remember, very simple. See, when we have F1 generation, the character which is expressing in the F1 hybrid, that character will be called as dominant, and the one which is not appearing in the F1 hybrid, those characters are called as recessive. So as simple as that. So when we have capital T and small t, we know that in this F1 hybrid, which character will be expressed? Capital T, which is tall. So tall is nothing but T is dominant and small t is nothing but recessive. So this is law of dominance statement. When we move to law of segregation or law of purity of gametes, let me give you an example. If we have two alleles together, we have capital R and small r. We know capital R is for red flowers and small r is for white flowers. So this is the F1 hybrid which we have got. This is the F1 generation which we have got. So in this F1 generation, what will we call this? Capital R and small r. This capital R and small r will be called as red. Which kind of red? Is it homozygous or heterozygous? Yes, it is heterozygous. So law of segregation states that when this hybrid, these hybrid, they cross each other, the alleles, they segregate from each other and they form the gametes. I'll give you one example. This capital R and small r, which stands for capital R is red and small r is white, they do not mix or contaminate each other. If they would have mixed and contaminated, the result what we would have got would be pink, but we do not get pink. These alleles, they do not separate or segregate, but they enter differently in the gametes, which means when we do selfing, we'll see that these both alleles, they segregate and separate. They do not mix or contaminate each other. So the law is when F1 hybrid forms gametes, later this F1 hybrid will form gametes, the alleles segregate from each other. Segregate means they separate from each other and enter in different gametes. So here they are not mixing or contaminating each other. So that is why we'll say it is called as law of purity of gametes, because they are not mixing, they are remaining pure. Law of independent assortment, it is based on dihybrid cross. So you have to remember this very important terminology, students, that law of independent assortment is for dihybrid cross, whereas the law of dominance which we had and law of segregation was for monohybrid cross. So law of independent assortment states that when the hybrid possessing two or more pairs of contrasting characters, so I have already said here we are going to use dihybrid cross. So we will have two pairs of contrasting characters, they form gametes. The factors in each pair segregate independently of each other. So factors which are nothing but genes in each pair segregate independently of each other. Let us see an example for more clarification. When we have yellow and round, this is our male parent, yellow round, this is our male parent. So we would be writing this capital Y, capital Y, capital R, and the female parent, which this would be our male parent. Over here we will be write circle with an arrow, and for female parent we will be having circle with a cross, which is yellow, contrasting character we have green, and for round we have wrinkled. So here male parent we have taken yellow round and female parent we have taken green wrinkled. So here we will have small y, small r, because these are recessive alleles. So when we study this law of independent assortment, what we would specify is that when we have hybrid possessing two or more pair of contrasting characters, what would be the hybrid for this? The hybrid for this would be, we'll have capital Y, capital R, small r. This is our hybrid for this cross. So when we have this hybrid, we will clearly see that this yellow character, the character for yellow, which is the color of the seed, can go with round also, it can go with wrinkled also. So the character yellow, we will have two different types of phenotypes. It can be yellow round, it can be yellow wrinkled. Similarly, this green can also go with round as well as wrinkled. So these factors, they segregate independently of each other. So we will be having four different phenotypes. What are those four different phenotypes? First one will be yellow round, second one will be yellow wrinkled, yellow round, second one will be yellow wrinkled, the third one will be green round, and the fourth will be green wrinkled, green round and green wrinkled and green wrinkled. So these we can see that these are separating or segregating. So we have these four different types which can be formed. So this was about law of independent assortment, which is law of segregation. Those three laws are very important for board exam. So they need to be properly memorized and studied. Back cross and test cross. So here back cross, when we say it is a cross, it is the F1 individuals which are obtained, they will be crossed with any parent. So when they are crossed with any parent, it is called as back cross. They are usually self to get the F1 progeny. But when they are crossed with any parent, either of the two parents, with one of the two parents, it is called as back cross. Now next one is our test cross. Test cross means it is used to test. So in this cross, we have the cross of F1 hybrid with homozygous recessive parent. So that is called as test cross. This is the most difference between test cross and back cross, wherein in test cross we had crossed the F1 hybrid with homozygous recessive parent, whereas in back cross we had crossed the F1 individual with any of the two parents. So that was called as test cross and back cross. Let us see over here in this example, we can clearly see it is used to find the genotype of the individual. Suppose we have this unknown genotype, we have to find out what is the genotype. Only difference which we can see is that the flowers are red in color, which in this figure I know you can see purple color. So we want to see whether this character, which is color of the flower red, is dominant or recessive, or it is homozygous or heterozygous, wherein we have two options. It can be capital R or capital R small r. So what we would be doing is, in the first we are crossing it with homozygous recessive, considering that we have heterozygous. Considering that we have this heterozygous, so what we get half of the flowers are violet or red and half of them are white. So when half of them are violet and half of them are white, so the unknown flower is heterozygous. But when we do it with a homozygous recessive and we get all flowers violet, which is a dominant character, so we'll say that it is homozygous dominant. So it is used to find out whether the unknown genotype which we have is homozygous or heterozygous. When all are violet, we'll say it is homozygous. And when we have 50% violet and 50% white, we'll say it is heterozygous. Let us move on to our next topic, which is this one. On page number 54, we are moving on to our next topic, which is intragenic interactions and intergenic interactions. Intragenic as the name suggests, it is between the alleles of the same gene. Intra means same gene, and when it is intergenic, it is non-allelic. So it occurs between alleles of different genes present on the same or different chromosomes. So intra means between the alleles of the same gene, and inter means it occurs between alleles of different genes. They are present on the same or different chromosome. So we have some deviations of Mendel's, which are, first one is incomplete dominance, which we are going to see. In this incomplete dominance, we can see that example we'll see first. Here we have an example of the flowers, red flowers and white flowers. We can see the F1 hybrid is having pink flowers. When capital R and small r are together, we can see that none of the allele is dominant over the other. Neither red is dominant nor white is dominant. None of the allele is dominant, and the hybrid which we are getting is intermediate between the two. Hybrid is intermediate between the two, which means red and white having the hybrid pink. When we see their F2 generation, we see that we get red and pink, and then again pink, and we have white. The ratio is, genotypic ratio is 1:2:1, and phenotypic ratio is also 1:2:1. Very important significant point here is the genotypic and phenotypic ratio are the same. So this was our incomplete dominance, where none of the allele, both the alleles of an allelomorphic pair express themselves partially, which means none of the alleles are completely dominant over the other. Both are expressing partially. Red is expressing partially and white is expressing partially. So between them, red and white, we have the color pink. And very important example to remember is Mirabilis jalapa, which is also known as 4 o'clock plant. This 4 o'clock plant is the example of this incomplete dominance. Our next topic is codominance. Codominance, here we can see both are dominant. Both are dominant, which means both the alleles of an allelomorphic pair express themselves equally. Equally means here you can see the example red hair cattle and this is white hair cattle. So both of them can be seen in the F1 generation. We can see these cattle, they are having a mixture of both red as well as white hair. Somewhere there are patches of red and somewhere there are patches of white. So this is called as roan color coat of cattle, which is nothing but a mixture of red and white hair, patches of red and white. The F2 generation, which we can see, was similar to what we had seen in incomplete dominance. The ratio is the same for phenotypic and genotypic. The ratio is 1:2:1. So it is the same. When we move on to the next topic, we see here multiple alleles. Multiple alleles means the alleles which are present. We have two or more alternative forms of the gene. The definition is the same for allele, which is multiple allele. The example over here which is taken is Drosophila melanogaster, which is a fruit fly, and we have taken the size of the wings in this. So we have this table which has to be remembered for multiple alleles, that there are two or more alternative forms of the gene present on the same loci of the homologous chromosome. They are controlling the same character, which are nothing but the wings. When we have normal wings, we have VG plus, VG nicked for nicked wings. For notched, we have VGNO. For strap wings, we have VGST. And vestigial wings, where wings are absent, we have VG. So you can see differences in the wings of these Drosophila melanogaster, which is the fruit fly. Next topic which we are seeing over here is pleiotropy. For pleiotropy, just remember, we have one single gene. We have one single gene which is controlling two or more different characters. So one gene controlling two or more different traits, and that phenomenon is called as pleiotropy or pleiotropism. The example for this is sickle cell anemia. The disease sickle cell anemia, which is caused because of gene which is HB gene. The normal gene is HBA gene, which is dominant, and the gene for sickle cell anemia is the HBS gene. So normal gene is HBA, which is a healthy gene, and for sickle cell anemia the gene is HBS. So when we have heterozygote of HBA and HBS, they are called as carriers. They are called as carriers. Very important term. When it is heterozygous HBA and HBS together, those are called as carriers. They show symptoms of mild anemia and they are RBC. Instead of this circular biconcave, they become sickle shape. They have this sickle shape RBC. So this RBC is having abnormally low concentration of oxygen. They cannot carry oxygen. So here we have seen that two different carriers, they should not marry each other. The reason behind they should not marry each other, because 25% of their progeny will be homozygous, and it is lethal. When it is homozygous, it is lethal. It leads to the death of the progeny. So when it is lethal, it leads to death. So two carriers having children, 25% of their children will die and 50% of them will be carriers. So when we move on to the next page, what to study over here is, we are going to see this chromosomal theory of inheritance. This chromosomal theory of inheritance, we know it was proposed by Gregor, John and Mendel. In this, we have to see about other scientists also, which is Hugo de Vries, Correns and von Teschmark. They independently rediscovered Mendel's work of inheritance, because when Mendel had proposed these laws, it was not accepted that time, and it was the credit which goes to these three scientists who brought back the Mendel's experiment to life, and that's why the experiments were called as Mendel's law of inheritance. Now, chromosomal theory of inheritance. What are the theories which you have to study? These chromosomes are present in pairs. They are present in somatic cells. The second point you got to remember, they are present. They are during gamete formation. These homologous chromosomes, they pair segregate and assort independently. So, thus each gamete contains only one chromosome from a pair. The nucleus of the gametes, they contain chromosomes. So these are the points which you have to remember for chromosomal theory of inheritance. So the fusion of haploid male and female gamete, it will again restore the diploid number of species of the chromosome. So this is chromosomal theory of inheritance. These pointers have to be studied for an answer of 2 marks. Next, when we move to next page, which is page number 57, over here we are going to study about chromosomes and their types. So these are the characters of the chromosomes. Chromosomes, they are filamentous body present in eukaryotic nucleus. The term was coined by Walder, and the size of the chromosomes are different. Where are they present? They are present in the nucleus, and these chromosomes, they are made up of DNA, histone and non-histone proteins. So these chromosomes are visible during cell division. Functions of the chromosome, they are units of heredity. When we see the number of chromosomes, we are going to see over here the chart which is called as ploidy level. So here we have euploidy and aneuploidy. Euploidy tells us how many number of chromosomes are present. So when the chromosome number in the cell is exact multiple of the primary basic number, it is called as euploidy, which means when it has one set, it will be called as haploid or monoploid. When we have two sets, it will be called as diploid, and when we have three sets, it will be called as triploid. So in euploidy, we have one set, monoploidy, diploidy, triploidy, tetraploidy, pentaploidy, which is together termed in polyploidy. When we see aneuploidy, when the chromosome number is not exact multiple of the haploid set multiple, it is not there, that time it is called as aneuploidy. And this aneuploidy, the reason for this aneuploidy is either addition or deletion of one or more chromosomes. So because one or more chromosome is added or removed, so we cannot write this 2n, which is called as euploidy. We'll have to write 2n plus 1, or we'll write 2n minus 1, which means either there is deletion or there is addition of one or more chromosome. So that is why this is called as what? This is called as aneuploidy. And the first we have studied was called as euploidy. In aneuploidy, we have hypoploidy, where hypo means there is deletion. So deletion, so here we have minus 1, which is monosomy, nullisomy minus 2, hyperploidy, which means there is addition. In addition, we have 2n plus 1, and here we have 2n plus 2. Let's move on to the next page, which is page number 58. So here we are seeing Morgan's experiments showing linkage and crossing over. What we can see over here is the parental type is always more than the recombinant type. So here it is said that the parental combination of characters is always more, and the parental combination, like over here, is 98.7, and non-parental is 1.3. Over here it's 62.8, and recombinant one is 37.2. So in Morgan's experiments, he had carried out cross with this Drosophila melanogaster, and he had seen that the parental types are always more than the recombinant types. So when we move on to the next page, which is page number 61, over here we are going to see that autosomal inheritance, which is caused because of autosomes. We know out of the 23 pairs of chromosomes, we have 22 pairs, which are 22 pairs are autosomes. So 22 pairs are called as autosome, and another one pair is called as sex chromosome. So here we are going to see the inheritance, which is autosomal inheritance. In this first one, which we can see is widow's peak character, which is nothing but a prominent. We can see this is a person with no widow's peak, which has a normal hairline over here, and this widow's peak, which is having a V-shaped hairline. This phenylketonuria, this is an inborn metabolic disorder. It is also caused because of recessive autosomal genes. So here what is the deficient is the person is having deficient in enzyme, which is phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme. So this enzyme is deficient, so person cannot convert amino acid phenylalanine into tyrosine. So because of this, phenylalanine and its derivatives gets accumulated in the blood, and it results in severe mental retardation, and phenylalanine is also eliminated in urine. Let us move on to page number 62 over here. In this page number 62, we are going to see sex-linked inheritance. The inheritance which are because of the sex chromosomes, which are XX in female and XY in male. First, we are going to see X-linked genes. Now in this X-linked genes, we have the example of color blindness. Now color blindness is a X-linked because the person cannot identify or distinguish between red and green colors, and both these colors they appear gray. Now the homozygous recessive females, when we have X, small c, so this will be having color blindness, whereas you can see in case of males, when there is only one recessive also character, the character for color blindness is expressed. What does that mean? For female to have the disease, both the alleles should be recessive, whereas in males, because there is only one X chromosome is also small, so the male will have the disease for color blindness. So this was for color blindness, where you can see this example which is stated over here, that the disease which is for color blindness, from the colorblind male, the daughters will be carriers and the sons will be normal, and this disease for color blindness is transmitted with the help of this carrier daughter. Then this colorblind male is produced, which means the characters from father is transferred to the grandson because of this carrier daughter, and this is called as crisscross inheritance. This is called as crisscross inheritance from a colorblind father to grandson through his daughter. Now next is hemophilia, which is called as bleeder's disease. This is also an X-linked disorder. So we can have a simple example that for females to have this disease, both the alleles should be recessive, but for male to have this disease, if one also recessive allele is there, then the male is suffering from hemophilia, where you can see when female has only one recessive allele, she will be called as carrier. Similarly, over here also from this hemophilic male, we'll have the disease will be transmitted with the help of these carrier daughters. It will be transmitted to the grandson. So here we can see that it is transmitted to the grandson, the colorblind male, with the help of this carrier daughter. So the disease for hemophilia also follows crisscross inheritance. Now sex determination in humans, we know it is XY. Males, human females have XX chromosomes, 44 autosomes and XX chromosomes, whereas males have 44 autosomes plus XY chromosome. So we can clearly say that we can clearly mention that females are nothing but having the same, we are saying we are having the same set of 6 chromosomes, which is XX, and males are having XY. So over here, next we are going to see about is sex determination in birds. So in birds, the sex determination is ZW and ZZ type, where you can see 50% of the eggs will have Z chromosome, while 50% will have the Y chromosome. So what is the difference you can see over here is, here the female is heterozygous, while in humans we had seen the males were heterozygous. In this, the females, which is ZW, is heterozygous. That is why the father is responsible for determination of the sex of the child and not the mother, because in humans we had seen that females are only containing X chromosome, whereas males will be containing either X or Y. So it is the chromosome which is inherited from the father determines the sex of the child. Now when we see sex determination in birds, we will see it is the males will be containing ZZ and the females will be having ZW. So it is the mother who is responsible for the sex of the child in case of birds. Now next we are going to see is sex determination in honeybees. In honeybees, the females are diploid and the males are haploid. Very important. These female which are diploid, they produces eggs by meiosis. So female which are producing eggs, they will be n is to 16, n is equal to 16, and if those eggs they get fertilized by the sperm, the zygote develops, and that zygote is going to develop into again a diploid female, which means n is 16, they fuse, it can be a queen or a worker. So we can clearly say that diploid ones can be a queen or a worker, whereas the haploid ones are nothing but they are called as drones, and that is they are formed by the process called as parthenogenesis, which means without fertilization. In the figure it is clearly seen that this female by meiosis she is producing 2 gametes and this male is producing only 1 gamete, and when they are getting fused, it's a diploid female which can be queen or a worker, whereas over here haploid, this will be called as drones, and this is formed without fertilization, which is parthenogenesis. So genetic disorders over here, we have Mendelian disorders and chromosomal disorders. Let us see which are the Mendelian disorders. Mendelian disorders are thalassemia. Mendelian disorders, for example over here thalassemia, it is autosomal inherited recessive disorder. It is formed because of defective hemoglobin molecule. So this hemoglobin molecule had 2 alpha chains and 2 beta chains which were present on chromosome number 16 alpha chain and beta chain on chromosome number 11. So because of having a fault on these alpha and beta chains, if there is fault in alpha chain, it is called alpha thalassemia. If there is a fault in beta chain, it will be called as beta thalassemia. What are the characters? What happens? Over here you can mark it is anemia, pale yellow skin color, change in size and shape of the RBC. So because of that, they require massive blood transfusion is required for those children. So next one is Down syndrome, which is nothing but a chromosomal disorder. It was discovered by John Langdon Down, and what happens is this, it is called as trisomy of the 21st pair. So instead of 46 chromosomes, there are 47 chromosomes. So these children have abnormal 47 chromosomes, and those abnormalities in the autosomes, which is chromosome number 21st. In the 21st pair of every body, of every cell, they have, instead of 2, they have 3 chromosomes. So that is why it is called as trisomy of 21st pair. So what are the characteristics of these patients? You have to study this, and the most important one is they have a single crease on their palm, which is also called as simian crease. This single characteristic of crease on their palm, and these are the characters which have to be studied. Next is the Turner syndrome. Earlier in Down syndrome we had seen one chromosome was extra. In this Turner syndrome we can see it occurs in females, so one X chromosome is missing, and it is caused due to non-disjunction, which is separation of chromosome during gamete formation. So chromosomes are not separating, so individual are having normal 44 chromosome one, but one X chromosome is missing. They look female, but they are not able to have children because of the poorly developed ovaries, so they are reproductive, not functional. Next is Klinefelter syndrome. It occurs in males. What happens in males? That one X chromosome is extra. So in this Turner syndrome we had seen there were 45 chromosomes, while in this Klinefelter syndrome we'll have 47 chromosome, one extra X chromosome. So what is the difference? This occurs in females, Turner syndrome, and Klinefelters in males, and they have 44 plus XXY. So extra X chromosome is also again because of non-disjunction of the X chromosome. They are males, they have all masculine development, voice pitch is harsh, and underdeveloped testes. So because of that they are also not reproductively functional. So they have long arms, feminine development, the most important one, since they begin to develop breast. So that is why it is called as gynecomastia, and no spermatogenesis. So therefore these males are sterile. So this was all for our chapter number 3. I hope all your doubts are clear and how you all will be quickly revising this chapter during your board exams. So all the best to all children. Please stay tuned to Study Life for 4 more videos. Thank you.